Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. All of tomorrow's newspaper front pages in just a moment's time. But Nicola Sturgeon has denied any knowledge after her estranged husband today pleaded guilty to embezzling £400,000 from the SNP. So the party's former CEO, for over 20 years, was accused of stealing the money to fund a motorhome, 2 cars, a string of luxury goods, and falsifying accounting records in an attempt to cover up his crimes. Murrell was alleged to have used more than £57,000 of SNP money towards the purchase of an £81,000 Jaguar I-Pace car in 2019. Excuse me, sorry. £5,700 on a fancy coffee machine. He also admitted spending £139,900 on luxury purchases from Mont Blanc, Fortnum & Mason, Molton Brown and La Creuset, which he used false accounting codes to cover up. He also spent more than £2,000 on gaming consoles and £2,500 on salt and pepper grinders as well. Former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, who was herself arrested as part of the investigation but later released without charge, separated from Murrell last year. In a statement released today, she claimed that she'd been misled by her ex-husband. Well, joining us now is the academic and author of Scotland Undone, Dean Thompson. Dean, thank you very much for joining us here. So, look, this is almost as bad as it gets, really. Murrell, £400,000 embezzled. It's ridiculous.
Well, I always say whenever my boyfriend gives me boutique cosmetics, my first response is always to say that his resources are a matter for him. But in all seriousness, the SNP tomorrow will be launching a fresh push for IndyRef 2, the day after Peter Murrell, the long-term CEO of the SNP, embezzled, i.e. stole, £400,000 of their own party members' money. And I wonder whether the top brass, who are not entirely without question in all of this, will be launching a fundraising inquiry. I note Joanna Cherry was on the Scottish News today, pointing out that she'd been on the SNP Finance and Audit and NEC committees and so forth back in 2021 March, and she resigned, along with Douglas Chapman, etc., saying that they were denied access to audit accounts. And she said that scrutiny was warranted. What is it? Quote, justice has to be seen to be done and actively seen to be done. And she named John Swinney, Nicola Sturgeon, Kirsten Oswald, Alex Kerr, who at the time was secretary of the party and is now a new MSP. So, quote, Joanna Cherry, these people have questions to answer. So this is not at an end because Peter Murrell is facing the lockup.
Well, there are some pretty mental purchases here. I mean, you've got, I'm just going to rattle through some of them here. So, £2,495 on a jewellery box and 2 tote bags in navy and burgundy were purchased there. We've also got Lalique salt and pepper grinders. Salt and pepper grinders for £2,618. There's loads of watches, an astronomical amount of Game Boys as well, which is making me think that maybe he was giving these away. But anyway, he began buying games, a bit of FIFA, Grand Theft Auto, actually made by a Scottish-based game studio, so at least he's on brand there. But I can't be alone in wondering, Dee, how Nicola Sturgeon can't have had some suspicions here.
Well, this is the thing, because I remember I started writing about this for Think Scotland back in 2021, December, and this is a long-running story, and this is not a situation where this came out of a clear blue sky. And there are questions for the Scottish media to answer about this. I recall, without naming any names, a former Scottish political editor of a newspaper telling me in, 2022, January, that, oh, well, this is not really a story worth writing about, Dean, it'll go nowhere and it'll certainly never see the inside of a courtroom. I mean, we're talking about a situation where the SNP's own auditors, Johnson Carmichael LLP, flagged up before resigning back in 2021, quote, the greatest potential risk of fraud was revenue recognition. This has been a matter of public record for a number of years. And in March 2021, 3 members of the SNP's own Finance and Audit Committee resigned, quote, a lack of access to party funds. This is a long-running situation, and this is a party that's telling Scotland that, well, they're ready to run a country. They can't even run their own treasury as a party. And they're certainly not capable, I would argue, of facing down, what, a £5 billion black hole of treasury funds right now in the Scottish welfare largesse that they've been engaging in, that they've not accounted for as they engage in ludicrous promises of capping and price controlling of grocery shop bills. I mean, the whole situation is ludicrous. There are so many questions to answer here that go well beyond Peter Murrell, that go to the heart and matter of how the SNP have been run as a party for over a decade, their allergy to accountability and scrutiny. I mean, their own auditors resigned, saying the issue of revenue recognition was a point of, quote, greatest risk of fraud. The same time period where 3 members of their Finance and Audit Committee resigned, saying they couldn't get access to the books. This is Douglas Chapman.
It's ridiculous.
These are not insignificant people.
It's not. No, it's not. I mean, there's aspects of this that I look at and I'm like, yeah, it's still wrong, but are we looking at a bloke here who's got some massive shopping addiction or something? Some of these purchases are incredibly bizarre. But, you know, it does make me wonder, you know, do we even know anything about them, really? I mean, their marriage, okay, was obviously a slightly unique arrangement that they had going on there. She's now come out and had a bit of a glow up, I think she'd want everyone to believe, and she appears to be down south and just not trying to be with men anymore. And then, you know, and then you've got all of this stuff that's going on with the finances and everything. It's like, do we even know them at all? She stood for election loads of times. Like, was the whole thing just a bit of a ruse?
Since the early days of Alex Salmond, the SNP was always a sort of, in Alex Salmond's days, a somewhat of a minor personality-led organisation because it's a movement rather than a political party. They don't have social connective tissue to wider society. They're united by one issue, independence, which is why you can have Kate Forbes saying, on the one hand, that same-sex marriage is wrong, at the same time as the wider party is saying, oh, well, trans women are women, and no one blinks an eye at the incoherence and cognitive dissonance. This is, and they've got away with it because of the absolutely shocking failure of Scottish media. I mean, this all came about as a result of one man making an official complaint as a donor to an indie ref fund back in 2015, saying, I want to know where the money is. And the Scottish media establishment had no idea. Right. And I was told personally by someone who will remain nameless that there's no there, Dean, you should just not write about it. I mean, the lack of curiosity in Holyrood is unabidingly breathtaking.
Well,
it reminds me of Lewis Carroll. You know, down the rabbit hole we tumble, and we're through the looking glass in Scotland now.
All right, Dean, look, thank you very, very much. It's a real pleasure to chat to you as well. I hope to talk to you again very, very soon. It's Dean Thompson there, who is academic, author of Scotland Undone. Amazing what he said there about that fundamental lack of curiosity from the Scottish press. In a statement issued by her lawyers, Nicola Sturgeon said, today, the media is reporting details of items that my former husband has now admitted buying with SNP funds. I have seen questions raised about how I could not have known about this. I want to reiterate that I had no knowledge or suspicion whatsoever that personal items had been purchased using SNP funds. I was cleared of any wrongdoing after a lengthy and thorough investigation in relation to many of the items in question, for example, expensive watches and games consoles. I was not aware of them having been purchased at all. Indeed, in relation to the item of largest value, a camper van, I was not aware of its existence until it featured in the police investigation in early 2023. In respect of any items I was aware Peter having purchased, I had no reason to doubt that he had used his own money. We were both earning high salaries and, due to the responsibilities of my job, rarely socialised or went on holidays. We had separate bank accounts and I had no access to his financial records. Well, that